Okay, let's dive into it, man. We got a lot to get to because we're doing a super show today. Let's go into Div 4A and 4B. A lot going on in that division. Something that I've been watching closely, and one of the teams that you know fairly well, and I know fairly well from years past, is the Montagnard. And this is a team that is entering now, not their bye week, but the bye window of almost 3, if not 4 weeks off for the next month of end of Jan to February here. They're 0-4 right now, Iggy. By the time they get back to playing in mid-February, I think February 18th,
19th here, I see.
19th, yeah, could
Yeah.
they be in trouble, given that they're 0-4 and teams would have played a boatload of games by the time they hit back to field on the 19th?
I mean, yes, they're already in trouble at 0-4. And then if we quickly look at their schedule, you have them facing Step Brothers,
Not easy.
winnable, but I don't know. The way their season has been going so far, it's a toss 'em. You have undisciplined flaggers, winnable. They play Born in the '80s, who have been, I believe, are 2-2 right now.
Yeah, 2 and
But
0, 2 and 0 right now.
2-0. So David Andrade been getting more comfortable in the quarterback position, adding Sanders Arma. It's a nice squad they have. Trap Stars, leading one of the 4A contenders potentially.
Right.
West Island Boys, they won Tier 3 in the Fall Cup, not an easy out. And then LBB, who's been, they're up and down in
They got
past
cracked
seasons.
this week, though.
Maybe. But they've been out to a good start. So, maybe if that would be a week 15, that's in a TBA date at 6
That's a
o'clock.
Sunday night football flex for us now at FBF.
Yeah, exactly. You got your flex schedule. I think they have 2, maybe 3 wins. So you're looking at a 2-8, 3-7 season that might not be good enough to make playoffs.
No, they're in trouble. They are in trouble. 0-4, you're 40% through the schedule. You don't control your fate now, Iggy. And you get back on Feb 19th, and you might be not a hill, but a mountain to climb now and try and catch up to that last playoff spot or spots to be had. And you just listen to the schedule, right? Look at the end. You got death row games. Born in the 80s, 2-0 right now. They could be a top 6, top 7 team. Trap Stars, which we'll talk about next year, they're starting to get back in rhythm. West Island Boys, now they're starting to get into their thick of the schedule, and they're going to be a tough team to beat. LBB, we don't know what to expect. So, yeah, you might see 3 more losses, and that might be the death knell to their team's hopes that if they have 7 losses from those next 3 games, there's no way they can make it. It'll be very hard. Three's base, but if they lose 8, they're done.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
Trap Stars. This is a team that's starting to figure itself out now. Like I saw their comeback win that they had earlier this season at Hebert. Ryan Garber is looking like how he was prior to the funk that he went through the last year or so of not much on-field success for the stat numbers. But, you think about this situation, right? They beat backfield penetration and come from behind with victory. They beat LBB rather easily. They're now 2-1 with a quality loss to Born in the 80s here. Are they now in that? Are they in that holding pattern or on that tarmac that they can take off and perhaps become a top 4 team in this division?
I mean, definitely better than their past few seasons. The schedule's tough. Half Senders FC, still CRA, undisciplined flaggers, maybe not a Division 4 team. Les Montagnards, that's going to be a big one. The Trap Stars Montagnards, for both teams at that, at that point in the schedule, March 11th, week 10. Trap Stars then face Step Brothers, Mofos, and Les Otards Extreme. So that's tough. I can see them going. It's a good start to the season. I can see them going 6-4, 7-3.
Yeah, I think 7-3 is realistic,
which is nice.
Yeah, I think 7-3 is realistic. My only concern is their lack of depth that can hurt them, because these guys have had a history of injuries. Now Cooper Young is out for the season, but he's still there in support of the team, watching from the sidelines. Then you have guys like they have a good core to work with, but it's just the
Hmm.
chemistry. Can they get that consistent body number of bodies out there where Ryan can develop that as a quarterback with his receiving core? And furthermore, that defense, it may not be sexy in terms of the flash and dash, but they play so well in their concepts, Iggs, that they come up with a big play, whether it's a sack or stopping fourth down or a big INT. So I think they can win 7. And if it really goes their way, they can maybe go 8-2 if it really goes their
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, I mean, adding William Sabag
Yeah,
from Win Diesel.
yeah,
He has 4 sacks on the season. The defense led by Dylan Garber, higher division guy, teaching more shooting concepts in Division 4. You'll create some turnovers off that. Some of the rather inexperienced quarterbacks.
right, right.
And like you're saying, offensively, I like the ball distribution there. He's getting everyone involved, and that's really tough to do to defend as a defense. I like what they have so far.
I do too. I do too. I think they have a chance to make some noise here. And again, it's early. It's early days. Still early days for some teams, but they're showing elements. They're showing signs in their radar that they're going to be able to track themselves properly on that FPF waters and really get themselves going in the right direction. SBG. This is a team that is familiar. It's the old Obamacare boys, Jordan McKinnis, and those guys. I think you might have been entering the same time as these guys. I might be right, might be wrong, but
A season or two before.
right. So they're back 1-2. McKinnis is there. Jack Zergiotis is there as well. They got some familiar faces at the receiving core. They are a team that I think if they can get it all back on the same thing. Justin Frank Keel's on this roster as well. Shamar Josang is a good player as well on this team. Corbin McGee. They got some guys. Kyle McGugan as well. They can definitely make noise. I think they can be a 5-win team and be in that conversation. Maybe they're not in the lower third of the playoff run, but maybe in the middle pack and be a tough out for those teams that will face them at some point if they go to that April playoff window.
Yeah. Now you're saying all that based on who being the quarterback.
Well, that's a quote. It could be Georgiotis. I think it's Georgiotis if he sticks.
Well, he
And
can't.
well,
Then this was an administrative thing with this team. Is he busts the cap,
oh boy.
so he can't throw.
Okay, so Jordan
So
McKinnis, perhaps.
well, Jordan McKinnis threw the first game, maybe the second game as well, but then Matthew Campbell threw last night or Monday night in Stade de Montréal,
Yeah.
losing by 1 to still CRA. So there's a quarterback question mark there. And because this team has the size, the speed, the hands, the football acumen,
Yeah.
but the quarterback position, it's a question mark. And if that's your question mark, your whole offense is a question mark. So they're an interesting team with a big question mark on their team picture.
Well, not only that though, the next 3 games are going to be tough. West Island Boys, Idaho Ute Pimps, and Balls Deep.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be easy because they'll play 3 in the next month. They'll have a bye week on this weekend of the 17th. But if they get 2 out of 3, I think it's massive. They need to get at least 1 out of 3. And it might be
Yeah.
Balls Deep as a target because West Island Boys and Idaho Ute Pimps, as you know very well, those are not going to be easy outs for them if they're able to win one of those games coming up.
Even their fourth game after that, bet boost ballers, another BBB team.
Yeah.
That's a tough schedule coming up.
Not easy. But if they can get it together, they could be a team to watch out for moving forward here. 4B. Penetrators, Le Renard Vif. These are the top 2 teams right now, Iggs, in their division. When they have their clash, I believe mid-March, do you think they'll still be the top 2 teams when they have that tete-a-tete?
I think so. That's 2 very good teams that have made the finals often in their, I'll say, limited number of seasons for Le Renard Vif. 5 or 6 seasons now for the Penetrators.
Right.
Yeah, I like the way both offenses roll. Uh, I like the intensity Leonard Viv play with, but it can shoot them in the butt. I can see it
Hmm.
where if the intensity's gone off the rails, it can lead to OCs, can lead to important players being on the sidelines for 10 plays. Uh, when it rolls the wrong way, it's not good. But usually that intensity helps everyone kick it up one level more, one notch more, and gives everyone the hype
Yeah.
to make plays out there.
Yeah, I think when you look at Leonard Viff, they have grown immensely since spring season when they won back in August of 2023, and they it's such a different style of offense. You got Justin Goodman on one side of the ring, and you got Jacob Salve, who is a tackle football player who may not be big in size, but is a football player. He wins at all costs here, and he's had a wonderful season. 21 touchdowns, 2 INTs so far, and again, it's so far away, but because of the top two teams, they're going to have that clash, and that could very well be massive in the overall landscape of 4B because whoever wins that game is probably your number one seed going towards April playoffs.
If Lerna Vif lose, they're definitely not like a even top 3 scene, because now Back to the Future at 2-0, that's a team that could contend for the number 1 spot. Ball don't lie, I can see them going 7-3,
So yeah, I'll ask that question
dropping a
right now.
few. Yeah,
Ball don't lie. What do you think about them? Are they on your radar now?
they're on the radar, but I'd have to see the 2 wins. 50 points in 2 games, not great. Um, a chippy win over the Wolfpack just by 1,
Yeah.
and then barely. Both their wins are by 1 point. Actually, I'm taking a look here, and the first one against Scrumdiddlyumptious, new team to FPF, and probably signing up in the wrong division. Win by 1. Wolfpack didn't look great. Win by 1. Voodoo, look, if you look at their next few games, Voodoo, Monkeys, Team Sexy. I think you have 2 good teams there,
Hmm.
but again, they the schedule's not gonna be telling how good Ball Don't Lie is. Because
So
of
I saw them
Monkeys,
play.
because of Scrumdiddlyumptious. Sorry, Mo.
Yeah.
Because of Monkeys, because of Scrumdiddlyumptious, 2 brand new teams to FBF, and they're starting in Division 4. That's their 2 wins. So it's hard to really gauge them.
Yeah, I saw them play week 1 when they beat Scrumdiddlyumptious, and that's they had Raphael Dagenet play for them. I mean,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, he's on the roster.
yeah, that's a big difference,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
and then Kyle Greenbaum, who's played FPF before and now a
Mhm.
quarterback, had a good game. Like this is a team still trying to figure itself out. They're mostly primarily tackle guys who played
Yeah.
Sage Up or had a cup of coffee at university. Kadeem Pierre's a guy who is awesome for them. In fact, he hurt his finger playing week 1, had to go to a hospital in Ontario because he's an Ontario citizen, not a Quebec
Oh, damn.
resident, to go get himself fixed
Okay.
up there. And yeah, I mean they're on the radar, but again, you're right. Like they've only played 2 games, but those 2 games have not been against quality opponents.
Right.
And now we'll see, right? They're going to play Voodoo, who you don't know. Voodoo can be up and down. They can be up that game and really blow them out. Who knows? And then Monkeys, but then you got Team Sexy, and you got the Penetrators and Killer Rays.
It's
And
yeah.
that's a tripod of games that's not going to be easy to win.
Yeah.
So I just think that we have to hold off probably until mid-March to give a real like
Yes.
satisfactory, non-satisfactory report card.
Yeah, the back half of their schedule is a lot more difficult than their front half.
Right.
I can see actually a 4-6, 5-5 record for this team.
Yeah, for sure. And that's gonna be fascinating to see how this plays out. But on the flip side, right, we mentioned Team Sexy. The big game this week in this division is Team Sexy X-Men. If you look at it, they're almost identical. Win-loss record, points for, points against. Tail of the tape says what to you in this matchup between these two teams?
It's going to be a competitive, fun game. X-Men just have so much more experience. Team Sexy, though, I like how they've progressed. We talk about West Island boys, penetrators, moving their way up from Division 6. I
Yeah.
think Team Sexy started their journey in 5B,
Right.
and it was a tougher start, obviously, starting against experienced teams, but they're now, 3-4 seasons into their FPF franchise, and they've developed nicely. But X-Men going through the junior program and just having, if you look tape to tape, Emerson Peterkin or Sam Anastopoulos, both great athletes, but I'm taking Emerson there, right? And then you just go down the list, and X-Men are, and I'm thinking of their game this past week against Le Renard Vif. Thought again it was going to be such a great game, a rematch of the finals from the spring, like you mentioned,
Hmm.
and Renard Vif, bullied them kind of
Again.
right again, exactly. So X-Men are going to be hungry this coming week against Team Sexy, and it's a team that can put up 50 points. X-Men can.
Yeah, they definitely can. And I think Anastopoulos is going to be key. Quarterback play for Team Sexy will be key. But I don't think we've given them their full due for how their defense has been, Team Sexy. I mean, I saw them play in the Fall Cup, and they've not mastered it, but they're starting to figure out how to play really good defense.
Yes,
And
I
I
agree.
know the INT numbers aren't as high, but they got some high PDs, right?
Yep.
Jeremy Steinberg is rushing the quarterback fairly well, 4 sacks through 3 games. I think those are all key numbers here. And I think if I'm not to hate to use this example here, but you look at the Lions, Niners. No, sorry, I meant to say Ravens and
Ravens.
Chiefs, right? If they can somehow produce not a carbon copy of the Kansas City Chiefs defense against the Ravens, but something along those lines that you frustrate X-Men and you force them to be one-dimensional, I think that could be the reason why Team Sexy could come away with the victory. But that's so tough to do because you're right. The X-Men, they are loaded with talent, right? Their artillery is second to none. And I think it's going to be massive in how they play um, Team Sexy and how they play their defense. If they can get a good defense going forward and keeping it simple and effective, maybe it comes down to that final possession where they control the 5 plays in the second half.
Yeah, I could see it coming down to the last 5 plays in this game.
Last but not least, Mengoose. You look at their record, Eggs. Should it be better than what it has been indicated so far through the first 4 weeks of the season?
1-3, not bad. I Definite improvement. 106 points in 4 games for a Mengus team that was
Yeah.
putting up 13, max 18 points. Now averaging 25, 26 points a game. You're seeing an improvement there. And Division 4B is tough. So I want to say they could have been 2-2.
Yeah.
With the guys that they have, Nick Schaefer at receivers, surprisingly a very good receiver. Obviously, Co Levine is dangerous with the ball in his hand, and Felix Antoine Laving has taken steps at the
Right.
quarterback position because it is hard. We've talked about this, numerous times, but playing quarterback is hard, and everything, the entire offense flows through the quarterback. And he's one of the type where if he throws an early game pick, it spirals down and leads to another, a second and a third turnover, and then the game just crumbles and gets out
Right.
of control.
Right.
So to have lost 27-14 to penetrators, a big win over the Wolfpack, 49-13, kept it close with Dak to the Future, and in a offensive game against Scrum Diddley just came 2 points short. I like where the team's going. Thought they could be 2-2.
Well, that's it. We'll have to find out for Mengoose how this plays out with their season. They're 1-3 right now. They still have some racetrack to come back and make a run for it, but something that
Schedule's
caught my
tough, though.
attention. Yeah, it's not pickle yet, but it could be for them moving forward. Let's switch divisions now, Eggs. We got our next guest here. Nightingale, are we good to go with our next guest?
Okay.
We were just holding. We're just getting our next guest, Brent Bach, ready as we'll dive into Div 6. Zachary Alberts Gill will join us later on. We'll talk some 5A and 5B with him. and then we'll preview all the divisions. Right, we got Co-ed 1, 2, and 3, Div 1, 2, and whatever else we have left. A lot to get to. We don't do these super shows anymore now. We do more half the shows. We half-ass it here at FPF. No longer doing these 5-hour extravaganzas like we used to do. I remember one time, I was covering the Canadians one night. So it was Simon Dagenet and Peasy.
Peas. Yeah.
And I believe it was around playoff time.
Yeah, it was week 1, if I recall.
Playoffs. And so I just finished. I got home 11:30. So I text Simon. I go, Simon,
How
you
was
guys
the
done?
show?
No, we're still doing divisions. How many more you have left? 2 more to go. Simon, it's 11:45 at night. I know. Pieces is going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So I was like, oof, that's not what it is. Anyway, as we buy time here, and are we ready to go here, Nightingale? Are we good to go? Excellent. Let's welcome in. He's fresh from outside, warming up Iggy's car and my car. Welcome the Div 6 rider here, Brent Bakken.
Wow. Okay. All right. You know, Iggy, I had no problem warming up your car. Mo, never. Not in your life. Never.
Oh, so you did admit that you warmed up the cars then, huh? It's okay. Don't worry about it.
I mean, seeing that your team didn't make the playoffs, Iggy's an Eagles fan. They made the playoffs. My Niners are still playing. I don't know, the Raiders or season
I'm
ended
sorry,
over
we
a month,
smoked you guys
month and a half ago. In the preseason. Well, you know, that's fantastic.
We had to
That's
train
great.
last
You get it-
career, my friend, in San Francisco.
That's your Super Bowl win. You're beating us in the preseason. I remember beating you in the regular season last year, but it's all good.
Congratulations.
It's all right. Congratulations
Living
on not
in
making the
Hilarious.
playoffs.
Living in the past, you know. Don't worry about that.
Let
You
me
guys
know.
wear your
Let me know.
garbage bag uniforms on Super Bowl Sunday, February 11th.
And you guys can watch us on TV on Super Bowl Sunday on February.
don't worry
11th.
about
It's
that.
fine. It's good. It's good times.
All right, let's welcome in Brent here. Of course, just fresh warming up the cars for Iggy and I. Brent, let's dive into it for Div 6.
sir.
Meat Fillers are 4-0. But are there any of the 3-1 teams in your mind that are better than the Fiddlers at this point in the regular season?
All right, so you look at it, right? I mean, I like Salt and the Pepper. I've had a chance to see them play, even going back to the Fall Cup. They're a good team, obviously. They have some firepower. Show me your TDs as well. So, okay, so WYD, is that like, what are you doing, Step Bros, or what does that stand for?
Yeah, I think so. What
Yeah.
you doing?
Okay, what you doing, Step Bros? So I had a chance to see them play 2 Wednesdays ago in Laval, and I was actually really impressed. They have a deep roster, but they have a lot of speed. I know we're gonna ask a little later about one of the receivers. I'll get to that later. But they have some playmakers, but a really elite playmaker on their team. So to answer your question, I mean, listen, right now the Meat Fillers are a top team, right? I mean, you look at the record. There's a couple other though undefeated teams, right? If you go even to the Meat Fiddlers, on the division, right? You have the Super Tubo Navettes. I mean, 4-0 is impressive, but I mean, there's still a couple of teams who haven't played 4 games yet, right? So, I guess to answer your question, they're impressive, but there's a couple other teams who I think who are just as part of me, maybe even possibly more impressive, despite some teams having not enough games played, or some teams even having 1 loss.
So right now, would you take Meat Fiddlers or the field to win?
The field, 100%. There's just 30 teams, right? So at this point, especially at this part of the season, right, you have to take the field.
Yeah, Division 6 is always like that, right? Like, you can have... How many teams again? There's 30 teams in Division
30 teams.
6. So you're playing a third of the division. So come playoff time, there's 2/3 of the teams that you haven't played. And the worst of the worst get eliminated. So Division 6 is tough to gauge, especially early on. Congrats, to Meat Fiddlers. They've been struggling in past seasons, but it's a good start, but it doesn't mean too much right now.
Now, and to be fair to them, right? I mean, listen, they have a talented team, and they could hypothetically go all the way. I'm just saying, at this point of the season, it's a little too early to take them against the field.
Thanks. Go ahead.
Brent, who's a disappointing team for you in Division 6? Do you have one in particular, maybe 1 or 2?
So when you first sent me the question, I was thinking Mutation, right? I mean, they got smoked by the Meat Fiddlers, 31-6. You know what? I'm gonna stick with my original thought. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mutation just because they had a big game against Meat Fiddlers, and it's a statement game for Mutation, right? They have a couple of guys on the team who played, right? We know guys like Emil Scaff and right, John Jr. Sylvain. They have talent on their team and guys with FPF experience, which in some cases in Division 6, that's not always the case, right? So the fact that they not just lost, but they got blown out pretty much by the midfielders. It's a little bit disappointing. There's some other teams you could obviously have on that list, but just in terms of talent on that mutation squad, they're my most disappointing team, at least at this point of the season.
Could they rebound back though, in your mind, Brent, or are they going to kind of descend towards reality?
I mean, we're going to find out, right? I mean, they have a big game against All Ball. All Ball's coming off a loss too, I believe. So, I mean, that's going to be a statement game. The schedule, I mean, they had the McGill swim team after that. They got Pease's team with the free agent squad. So that's going to be an interesting game, actually. That's kind of a surprise team right now, the free agent squad. So Mutation has a couple of big games on the agenda to come back and to respond with, right? So we're going to have to see, obviously, what they do.
So through 4 games, which division is the toughest amongst the groups that we have in this 30-team league of ours?
Okay, so I was going back and forth on this one. I think I'm going to stick with Group A. I think I'm going to stick with Group A because, like, so you look at the teams, right, in that division, and one of the things I look at is obviously points for records, of course, but points for, points against. You look at this Group A squad, Group A division, and it's, I don't want to use the word stacked, but when I look from top to bottom, I think they have arguably the better teams in that division. Again, that's disrespect teams in Group B and teams in A. But when I look at Group B and C, pardon me. But when I look at Group A right now, I'm just refreshing this on my computer.
So that 49ers offense, that computer of yours, huh?
They have the best.
I think we were both using the same the server at the same time because mine too was lagging a bit there.
Yeah. That's okay. No, anyways, yeah. To answer the question, I'm gonna say Group A. What do you guys think? What do you guys pick?
Well, I mean, is it just because it's the division that has 3-3-1 teams? I mean, I kind of like Group B. Demons are gaining experience. Cheat Squad is athletic and also gaining experience. Like you said, free agent squad, surprising 2-0. We always get what Eagle calls, call out to Eagle here, the TikTok seasons, like Voodoo is famous for these. But free agent squad is too. You get a good free agent squad team one year and then a bad one another. Looks like we're back on the right track here with free agent squad. Royals are not a bad team. They're 2-2. Cavaliers or Rohan, depending on the quarterback play given that night, could be it's a solid team. Groupies
and Chamonix shows
not
too.
Far behind.
Don't discount Chamonix shows. Like I know they're 1-3 right now, I believe, but I think they can make a run towards top 5 of that division at some point. Maybe number 5, not number 3 or number 4 for that matter.
See, I hear you on Chamonix shows. It's just their defense right now, right? They're giving up 118 points. You look at that, right? I mean, the DG Shotters. How many other teams have given up over 100 points this season? It's only 2, if I'm not mistaken, right? So I mean, they really have to work on that side of the ball if they want to be considered a true contender.
Fair enough. Eggs.
Yeah, Brent. Looking at the player standings, do you have an early season candidate for quarterback of the year?
I mean, so you look at it, right? I mean, obviously, you got a guy like Manny. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Like Bizogias. Pardon me. From the midfielders, obviously 15 TDs, 3 INTs. One thing I think is big in division or any quarterback, any division, but especially for Division 6, is completion percentage, right? So he has a 63 completion percentage, which is huge. But then you look at a guy like for the Demons, like Max Jeanette. 1 less TD pass, but then 1 less interception as well, right? And he's completing 69% of his passes. So I don't think Bizogias, you said?
Bizogias.
Pardon me, Bizogias. I don't think he's a runaway favorite right now. I think it's kind of 1A, 1B between him and Gannett, but then some other guys as well. I had a chance to see from Mall Ball, Viren Patel. He's a pretty good QB. And the guy from What Do You Do in Step Bros, Parnav Sharma. Guy, he can make plays with his feet. He can make plays with his arm. I like him, actually. I like him. He has a pretty good deep ball. So
that's how South Asians do it, brother. That's how we are, man.
Definitely not you.
Simmer down, my friend. Part of the core, my friend. Part of the
bench. Part of the bench. Continue on.
Simmer down there. So that's you have Bizogias as your lead horse right now for quarterback.
I don't. I have Gannett. I have Gannett right now. Just the completion percentage. He's completing basically 70% of his passes, right? And that's huge. So he has 1 less TD pass. but again, one less INT as well, right? So I think that's what you have to look for most. I think that's more important, I should say.
I think Viren
Yeah, more
Patel's got to
accurate.
watch out for. I saw him play last week. He's small in size,
Yep.
right? He's unassuming, but he's got an accurate, decent arm, and he made some pretty good throws that I saw.
Yep.
So that's sort of my dark horse. I don't know about you, Iggy, but I got Patel as the guy to watch out for as like that. You know, the fan duel odds, like it's like plus like 5,000. He's the guy that I'm going to take a look at right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same vein as Brent there, in a division where, you know, you see a lot of quarterbacks completing 40, 50% of their passes. I like Max Gannett as an accurate passer in the division. I saw him early in week 1, and I didn't see much rust on him. 14 TDs to 2 INT, a 7-to-1 TD to INT ratio. That's very nice. That's a leading horse for me.
Brent, the receiver position, Jonathan Botazzi, Shamdi Shodes, through 4 games, 26 catches, 39 targets, 370, and 8 touchdowns. If you prorate that, he's on his way to 20 touchdowns, an outside chance at 1,000 yards, and maybe, just maybe, 70 catches. Your thoughts on him and perhaps being the ultimate 3-tool player in this division?
I mean, listen, the numbers are good. I'm not going to lie, I haven't had a chance to see him play live yet, but the numbers look great. I would say also, on the same token, though, don't discount Noah Smallwood. Him, I've actually had a chance to see play. Phenomenal receiver. He's not the biggest guy, obviously, on the field, but he has blazing speed. He has good hands. But yeah, I think this category, in Division 6 especially, I find every year I've had a chance to cover. I'm doing Division 6 now, obviously, but I had a chance to cover it in the past. And you always find a couple players here and there that they're playing with friends, or they've never played an FPF or flag football in general. They hop into the league and they're capable of playing Division 4. They're capable of definitely playing Division 5, Division 3, even 2 in some cases. And so I think the leading receiver right now that we're talking about, I think he has a chance. He could be one of those guys early, but he could be one of those guys that definitely is just playing in a lower division that could definitely play at a higher level. Like I said, Smallwood's another guy. There's also from the Show Me Them TDs, Matthew Kutras, I think is his last name.
Dennis.
Yeah.
Dennis. Dennis Kadavis, my apologies. There's Kevin Scalia as well, Sanjeev, Mamajan. Like there's a lot of talent in this division. I think the wide receiver race, just like the QB race, is going to go down to the wire, right? Putting up big numbers now is huge, but let's see if all the receivers here can do it consistently throughout the course of the season.
Finally, Brent, when's your next article coming out for Div 6, and any teasers for us in the article coming up this week?
I'm looking to put that out. I'm hoping I got a broadcast on Saturday, so I'm hoping Saturday before I leave I can have that out for everybody. So 2 weeks ago I looked at basically the top teams in Division 6. Last week I looked at some of the bottom teams. I think this week I haven't thought too much about it yet, but I think what I want to do is kind of look at some of the keys to success. Possibly, I don't know if I'm going to do each team, but at least the keys to success. And I find in Division 6, this is the division where, again, some players are playing for the first time. It's a division where a lot of teaching could get done, along with a lot of the exciting skill that we've seen so far, right? So I think I'm going to look for each team's, or at least maybe the top 15 teams, and then the other 15 keys to success going forward into the second half of the season. Because, I mean, believe it or not, right, we're almost at the midway point.
Crazy thinking that's really the midway point of the season. Brent, thank you so much as always. We'll speak to you soon, my friend.
Thanks
Sounds
a lot,
good.
Brent.
Thanks for warming up our cars. Take care. All right, Brent Bakken, everyone, as he warmed up the cars out
All right,
there.
guys.
And check out his article coming out this weekend for Div 6 for those who are in that division. Brent does a really good job with the articles, breaking it down from top to bottom. So check it out this weekend, Div 6 article. We'll have Zachary Albert Skill at the top of the hour, but let's go into co-ed, Iggs, because we had that on the script initially. And
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
we kind of jumped over it, realizing that Brent was coming on right away. But let's get to co-ed 1, 2, and 3. A lot to get to, right? There's a lot of spicy elements. I noticed in your game at Hebert, I noticed there was a bit of exchanges of verbs towards one another with your opponents yesterday. But anyway,
a lot of money floating around.
yes, I'm sure there was. But in co-ed 1,
Yeah.
the undefeateds. So who amongst that ranks will get their first loss? Is it Party Mix, LP, KMEZ, or IG team?
Well, without looking at the schedules, I would have to say Le Porcinet, but um, who's going to suffer their first loss? Well, I mean, it's either going to be Kiss My End Zone or the IG team that playing this weekend, unless the game ends in a tie.
It could happen
Which,
very well.
which Mo, is it just me or like there's been more ties and overtime games than I can remember?
Well,
I don't know if it's
I've
just
told you my
me.
arguments. I've told you my argument, which the league has gone deaf on, deaf ears to it. Move the 2-point convert to how it is in every other league
And
and
that
have
is
it from the 5.
what?
Yes,
What? No.
because I guarantee you that will absolve ties. Telling
Two
you
from the 5 and one from
from
what?
the
Not. Don't say the 1.
from the 1.
Oh no! Get out of here, Mo. No,
I,
no, no, no,
I
no, no,
why,
no,
why don't you test it in Fall Cup then? See how this plays out.
no, 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 no. Anyways, look. Anyway, it's just an observation. I feel like I've seen more overtime games and ties than in recent memory, which is it's nice though because some at least I'd say half of them are getting settled in overtime.
Right.
The other half aren't. But look, Kiss My End Zone or IG team, someone's gonna lose. I Kiss My End Zone will have Tam Death throwing instead of myself. So he'll be throwing against a tough IG team defense.
Bad taste in their mouth from the loss to you guys in the Fall Cup final.
Yeah, exactly. That it's a nice rivalry growing, so it's nice. It's nice that other members are going to be part of that now, as the Kiss My End Zone Co-ed 1 roster is kind of revamped. But without looking at the schedules, I would have to say Le Porcinet. Really solid team overall. Chris Vero throwing on a lot of teams, gaining a lot of experience. They've got size, speed, great female athletes. Like that team that's one to look out for sure.
Yeah, they should be the Bucks Nets should be 4-0, and then once they face on the 17th of Feb, the IG team, which is Saturday afternoon game, Plenty of Fish, which is on March 4th, and then they got Easy Fun, and then they got Party Mix and Kiss My End Zone and IG team. So the chance of them going 10-0 is probably very minimal.
Slim, yeah.
But if they can get to 4-0 before they hit the meat of their schedule of these filet mignons that they have to go through, I think the realistic goal for them, if they're at 4-0, could they split the final 3 to go 7-3? Final 6 to go 7-3. I beg your pardon. Final 6 to go 7-3.
They might be the longest that goes undefeated, but then that's you rattle off the teams. There's going to be a loss somewhere there, whether it's Easy Fun or Plenty of Fish, even Party Mix. And then those last 3, Party Mix, Kiss My End Zone, and IG team. That's a good way to enter the playoffs, though.
Yeah,
because this team, they're only 2-0, but I think they're destined for the playoffs. And even if they go 0-3 in those last 3 games, it's gonna matter more how they play and get a grip on how Party Mix plays, how Kiss My End Zone plays, and how to best the IG team.
right.
Strategy is going to be involved there. So whether they win or lose the games, that's a nice way to go into the playoffs. Hopefully, you want to be winning more than losing, but it's a good test.
So the bottom 4 of this division, which one's in trouble right now?
I mean, it's got to be 0 sub, right?
Yeah,
They're without a win right now. So is LPP, but their third game is a tie. Their season opener against Kiss My End Zone. Only 69 points in 3 games. So, what, you're looking at 22, 23 points there. 110 points against. That's going to be the problem.
Yeah.
Is the size mismatch that I don't know what they're going to do moving forward. Are they going to have Pat Jerome and some of the male athletes come and play? I mean, it's co-ed, so it's okay to do it. But do they want to train and and get the best experience for their all-female team.
Right.
I just can't get a read on the team right now and how they're gonna roster, like what roster they're gonna put out on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be very tough. But I don't discount this team. I think they'll have a run in them. It's the
Yeah.
question of having that lineup being consistent for them. And I think if they can figure that out, they'll be competitive. I don't know how many games they can win,
for
but
sure.
they'll be competitive. They'll be competitive for
And
sure.
I'm not worried about Sarah Parker with her all-female club like they did this past week or last week. I'm not worried. They can put up 30 points. The thing is, they're going to let up 46.
Yeah.
So
leaking.
that's where I'm worried more.
Yeah, they're leaking. Co-ed 2. There's a bunch of teams, 8 to be exact, at 1-1. Quickly here, Iggs, before we get Zachary Albert skills. Contender, pretender, I'll throw them at you. You let me know. Contender, pretender, all right?
All right, let's go.
Lords of the Field, they're in the 8th spot at 1-1.
I'll go pretender.
Okay. 5th squad, 9-hole, 1-1.
This one's interesting. I want to say contender, but I'm going to go pretender. They've had a tough stretch for like months now. So,
You know what?
pretender.
I'm going to say pretender. They haven't really they kind of lost their mojo during the spring season.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't really found it since then, but I'm going to go pretender for them.
Okay.
Kamikaze at number 10.
They're like sort of in between, but if I had to lean one side, let's go contender. I like what they have and what they present, both
Right.
on the male and female side. Let's go contender.
All right, I'll go contender here. We'll be quick here, so we'll go quick here. Tigres, contender, pretender.
Love the offense, not the defense. Pretender.
All right. Who's going to carry the boats? Kenny Coulee, pass whooping, and those 3 teams. We got pretenders or contenders?
We got who's going to carry the boats?
Yeah.
Contender.
I got them as contenders. I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, they beat Team Rocket last night, Monday night.
Yeah.
Canicule, I'll go pretender.
Yep.
And pass whooping, I'll go contender.
Okay, fair enough then. Co-ed 3, before we get to Zachary Albert's scale here, Iggs. Just quickly here, we'll talk about the shootout of a game that we had. And situations that happened this game where there was a lot of unhappiness and happiness at the end with that big shootout that we had in Co-ed 3.
Right, so we could actually bring Zachary Albert's scale here. He does talk Co-ed 3.
Yeah.
So... just to recap some of the things that happened. Agadi and half played a wildly offensive game, something you're not used to seeing in Co-ed 3, but it was a really entertaining game.
Right.
Came down, I think, to the last play, if not the second to last play. Awesome to watch. I think it was. I think, and Zachary's gonna correct me here.
He's joining us now. So Zachary Albert Gill, you can fill in the details with Iggy over here.
Oh, can I? How you doing?
Yeah, so we're just talking about half and half, and their 40-39 offensive shootout win over Agadidu. You and I talked about half and half last week about their switch at quarterback. Tell me, was that the quarterback that you had in mind, number 84, Gabriel Poulet?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I'm again really bad with faces, but I think he played in the week before. And yeah, he was the one that was putting up some really great balls. Like, they were well placed outside of the way of other defenders. And like I said, if he takes his position, like, I think they can turn this team around.
Yeah, exactly. And in that shootout, Tania Steer made a great... I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing.
I think it's Tanias.
Tanias, that's it. Tanias Steer made a ridiculous one-handed catch.
Last play of the game, like
it was wild. So it was really cool to see.
Yeah, they're really doing a great job. I actually took Agadidu to win, even though I knew that half and half were turning things around. I'm super happy to see they put up 40 points, man.
Yeah, really nice. And then another storyline that I caught wind of was Lepsitvit versus Terry Babylon and his Thunder Villains, who are doing pretty well so far this season. And so the situation was this, guys. Thunder Villains have the ball at the opponent's 1 with 5 plays remaining. They're up 1 point. Terry runs 3 times in a row for 0 yards, right? Because it's the red zone.
Okay.
You can't run.
Okay. Yeah.
But he's killing plays because there's 5 plays remaining. So eliminates 3 plays. There's 2 plays remaining. Scores on the 4th down play.
Mm-hmm.
So they're now up 7. And goes for 2 to make it a 9-point game, which is a 2-possession game.
Just a win. Oh, he hits it.
And hits it. And all this time, the runs, the touchdown on 4th down, and the 2-point convert, Pitsidvit are losing their minds, apparently. And I think it's because they didn't understand. They are relatively new. Well, they are new to FPF. I don't know if they have any other experience with other flag leagues, but Terry's playing the game to win and managing the game in a way to win.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if they didn't understand that and they thought he was mocking them, maybe, with like running 3 times and throwing a touchdown on 4th down and going for 2. Maybe they just didn't understand everything, but that's the proper thing to do.
Yeah.
Waste plays, score on 4th down, because even if you don't score, you're leaving them 1 play from their own 1-yard line to throw a 49-yard Hail Mary pass. That's the odds of hitting that are 1%.
Actually, it's probably a 56, 57 yarder because you're about 5-6 yards deep in your end zone, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
And just to say,
they didn't really understand what was going on, and yeah. What do you have to say?
Well, just to say, like, I did that exact same. Well, I think Kenny did that exact same thing against Thunder Villains when we played them like a week or 2 ago, right? We got down. We were down. Unfortunately, we weren't up, but it was the sense of like, we have to burn 2 minutes of time right here, and we got to find a way to do it. And we did it. We just were unfortunate enough not to score. Right. But I can imagine the other way. I would have been like, yeah, that was the greatest strategy we had. And sometimes it sucks as a receiver, defender, to be like, why didn't I get these 3 extra plays to try to do something with it? Right. But yeah, sometimes the way cookie crumbles.
Fair enough then, Zach. Let's dive into Div 5A and 5B with you, my friend. Are you worried about Pasta Rabiat's quarterback production? They're, I think, now 2-1-1, but they have not gotten the quality of pasta from their quarterback production.
You know, you say that, but I looked at their games. I was looking through it, and like, I think they're getting under a couple new QBs. So I think Nick, I'm not going to even pronounce last names right now. There you go, Delisi. I mean, I think his first game was against Strapaholics. Great team. So, I mean, I'm not expecting an all-star performance. He did okay. And then he beat Ski. Yeah, I was expecting like 4 touchdowns.
You mastered the name.
I'm trying. I even told my girlfriend about it. I'm like, have you heard of this Ski? Like, what is this? And I haven't looked up the song yet, Mo. We're getting there.
Excellent. Carry on as you're saying before.
But I also see this like Carmelo fellow. That's his name now. He tied against In-N-Out a bunch of rushing yards, 3 TDs, like, and then Nick comes out with a win over the Ducks that you were raving about, I think 2 weeks ago, Mo. Like, I'm actually pretty impressed with their QB performance. I think if they continue this route, like, they're going places.
See, my question, like, is because, you know, and Iggy will definitely jump in because he knows Nick Delisi very well. Mm-hmm. He's not the most sexiest quarterback when it comes to like throwing up like Patrick Mahomes numbers here. Okay, he's not going to do that. But it's sort of like you roll the dice, and if it lands in what they're thinking, it's going to work. So it's sort of like a streak quarterback, where if he's in rhythm, he's really good, but if he's off course, like, it just becomes a struggle for them. And I just don't know. You look at their points for right now; they've not scored more than 30 in a game yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the biggest concern in my books when they go up against better competition, Iggy and Zach, that they might have a struggle to put up 30 if they cannot get better value from that pivot position moving forward.
Yeah, obviously one of the biggest losses for them is Joe Morghese. even in the huddle, he's helping Nick, play call and play calling is huge in FPF. Calling the right play at the right time of the game, minutes left, right down, second and long, third and short. He would help Nick with that, and that presence is no longer there. And in the one game he did play, 6 receptions, 9 targets, 52 yards, 2 TDs. So that's not only physically a big presence that's no longer in the huddle. You can see it that it's making the offense struggle just a little bit more.
Right. So we'll have to see how this plays out for them. Eggs, you're up next to the next question, my friend.
Zach, Notorious CIG. What do you think of them? Is this a team on the rise? Are they going to struggle? Are they, having some early season success that is going to crumble? What are your thoughts on Notorious?
Yeah, I was like really gung ho about them after they whooped our butts in the first game. They put up, I think, like 6 touchdowns or something like that, and then they did it again against Bandits, who I thought might have been like a decent team, like probably higher than half of the division team. But then they take like an odd loss by 1 point against Hail Marty's. I don't think it was an overtime. I think they just unfortunately lost by 1 point, which kind of sucks. And then who else did they play against?
Yeah,
Vice City? Yeah, like I didn't think they were going to lose to Vice City, man. And they lost by they let Vice City put up like 30 points. So even though they're still putting up those like 5 touchdowns, 4, 6 touchdowns, the teams are still outscoring them. And I don't think they're going to be able to handle it. So like on the rise, I can't say that because they lost their last 2 games. But I would say like I'm less into this team than I was in the beginning of the season. I think they're going to have rough games against West Island, Habibis, Petit Carotte. Like, they're going to be hard games.
Yeah, it's almost like Grand Theft that they had against Dunton by Vice City, I guess, in that situation. What's going wrong with the Vultures?
Oh, man, I don't know. To be honest, I had not seen Vultures when I'm doing my, like, recaps and stuff, and I was like, wait a second, Ben McMahon's in my division? What's going on? Yeah, like they've been putting up stats. I see them pop in my picks of the week, but like their first week was an unfortunate forfeit. Then they lost against Ducks by about a point, I think, in their second week. So like they weren't doing too bad, but losing their last game, I just think they haven't found the right quarterback yet. I mean, Chris started one game, then they switched to Owen. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name.
Bujarski.
Thank you. Exactly. So I think they're still just finding their rhythm at QB. And once they do, you're seeing Ben and oh my God, Kevin Donnan. Yeah, Kevin Donnan. They're still putting up 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns a game. Their defense is still there. It's just they need to find that solidity at quarterback.
What are your thoughts on Toon Squad?
Best team in the division.
Are they in, sort of dreamland as we shift over to Division 5B? What are your thoughts on them? Are they a true contender in Division 5B?
Yeah, I think they are. To be honest, I think they're a true contender. I think they've put up a lot of points. 130 points in 4 games is nothing to scoff at. I mean, it's still good. Their defense is relatively good, but they haven't played top-tier teams. Like, they've played a lot of mid-tier teams, a lot of lower-tier teams, but I haven't seen them play the top 3 or top 5 yet. And they're coming around the bend I think they're hitting up Ramfins, then they're hitting up Pack-a-Punch. So this is where I'm going to start looking at them and critiquing them a little bit harder because I think they've had an easier schedule, but I still think they can be that strong undefeated team. But it's
so
sorry.
I was going to ask
go.
Zach over here. Let's say they split the next 2 games.
Okay.
So they split. They go 5-1. You say what?
I say 5-1. They're finishing like 8-2. Honestly.
Are they a contender in your eyes?
Yeah, to go all the way still? Or are you saying what are you saying, to be top team?
Yeah, because you said we want to see them play against. Okay, so let's say they go 1-1 the next 2 games, or even they go 0-2 in the next 2 games. Are they going to be a pretender in your eyes then?
If they go 0-2, they're not getting that top spot. They won't be a contender, but they won't be pretender necessarily in my eyes. I just think they'll be second or third. I really think Win Diesel at that point. If you're going to lose against Ramfins, like Win Diesel's going to have it over you. Ramfins will have it over you. You can't finish top if you can't beat those teams.
Yeah, I just personally, I like the way they're winning games. in different methods, right? 31-6 over parlay tilters, a close one, 38-35 shootout against the Hooligans, where they won on the last play of the game.
Yeah.
1 point victory over Betway Bandits. That's a bit messy, but 19-18, so the defense can show up too. Then 40-18 over Vengeance, so they can blow out teams and put the kill shot in. So they're winning in different ways, and that's really important for this team, because that was the next step that they were going to need to take, and they're taking it as winning in different ways.
Hey, hold on, before you answer that question, Zach, did you get kicked out by your girlfriend from the room?
No, I locked her out accidentally as she went to her fitness class.
Accidentally locked her out.
Yeah, I don't usually lock the doors, and for some reason I was like, well, hold on a second, I need to be safe while I'm on a podcast.
Thankfully, Valentine's Day is in 3 weeks. So you can
Exactly.
On that day, oh my goodness, I think I got kicked out of the room. Look, which 5B team worries you right now?
And it was really actually upsetting to see that that some of the teams have already played like 5 games, because it's hard to come. Yeah, if you look at the bottom,
Vengeance.
Vengeance, retired All-Stars got 4 games and they're 0-4. Like at that point, it's hard to come back from that. But if I'm looking at a team that I'm really worried about, I think I'm a little bit worried about Top G. They've got an okay schedule coming out next. I think they can win a lot of their games, but they put up 56 points in 2 games. They've allowed almost 100 points. They came out strong, but I'm a little worried about them. I don't know if they're going to be able to beat everybody the way they want to. And with 6 games left, I think you can afford 2 more losses, 3 more losses. As soon as you hit the 3-7, 4-6, I worry about the bottom 4 spots.
I'm interested because I misinterpreted maybe, or Mo, did Zach correctly interpret the way you asked that question? Did you ask, which teams he's worried about being a team in Division 5B that he's like, I'm worried about facing this team because they're really good, or they're teams that he's worried about because they're low in the standings?
Oh, I meant to say low in the standings, but that's fine though. Top G's fine. He did label it though. He's right, because if they lose 2-3, he's right. They could drop into that final quarter of the bracket, right? And that's where you have teams in the red who are going to chase teams in the lower green. And so I totally get his point about Top G maybe being in that predicament where they might fall and not be in the top 8 and then be in the bottom 8 for that matter.
Yeah, for quickly for me, it has to be Vengeance. You're 0-5, 54 points after 5 games, 10 points a game. You're not winning a game with 10 points a game.
It's worrisome because they don't have much runway to work with right now. Because there's teams that have 3, if not 2 games in hand against them right now. So, last question, Iggs.
Yeah, wrap it up here, Zach. Packing Packers. That's an interesting team. Going up against Win Diesel in their next matchup. Win Diesel, 4-0, 159 points for. We know this team can air it out, can juke you with Marcus Lynch. So could Packing Packers give a run at Win Diesel's money?
Looking at their lineup, I would have said yes. Every time I see Felix Boutet on a roster, I go, yeah, of course they could be a competitive team. They got this guy on their team. And I think even their quarterback put up 5 TDs in their recent games, but he's been sacked a lot. He actually put up 3 rushing touchdowns too, if I'm remembering correctly as well. He's shifty, he's good, but I don't think they have the stability to take it over Win Diesel. Win Diesel is too consistent. They're beating good teams. And although I'm happy they've won, they beat Brewers, who are not a top 5 team, and Wild West Wranglers forfeited their first games. We know nothing about them. I'm just not impressed by their wins enough to say Win Diesel is going to lose. Sorry.
So I was hoping Iggy would botch by saying Packing a Packer, which he didn't say. Because so if you don't know, Zach, so we use Google Docs for our script. So Eagle would always change the words and would try to say what he would write. And he would catch us once in a while. So I wrote in the question, Packing a Packer, and I thought he would say
Yes, I saw it.
I thought it was a typo or an autocorrect.
I'm a professional.
Yeah, I thought he was going to say Packing a Packer in that situation.
No.
Tom Cruise. What? Anyway,
Tom Cruise.
have you heard the South Park episode? Anyway.
Before I let you go, Zach, what do you have lined up for us for an article coming up this week?
Oh boy, I'm almost finished all my team recaps, which is going great. Had to recap about 3 different divisions, so I usually try to break down each team, 3 teams a division. We're almost done those, and then we're going to go to my top 5, top 10 power rankings. To be honest,
Are they going to be powerful rankings?
I hope so. The most powerful, the
mighty power rank.
Mighty power rankings, then. All right, Zach. Last but not least, going to ask you this question like I asked you last week.
I know I didn't even. Yeah, go ahead.
The headline will be what next week for this Division 5A and B?
Oh, the headline?
The major headline,
Ooh.
the key headline going into next week will be what?
Oh, hold on. Now you're saying key headline. Does he do this, Iggy? Does he just ask questions that you don't understand sometimes?
Oh, the ones you don't understand? Yes, like
Yeah.
the one I brought up earlier about
Yeah.
a 5B team that you're really worried about. Really worried about could be misinterpreted. And
Are you
is
asking
very
for my
ambiguous.
article title, Mo?
No. This is the headline that there's a team that's going to wow you
Just
next
what's
week.
what's gonna catch the
Oh.
eyes? What's gonna catch the attention of all of Division 5, 5A, 5B?
That's a great question. I'd have
you.
to
You're
pull
welcome.
up their. Yeah, I'd have to pull up their schedule. That is a good question, Mo. I think for me, most of all, it will be who is going to kind of get that win and the upset. Who's going to start losing their undefeated positions in Div B, Div A? Like there's 6, 7 teams still undefeated in Div B.
Right.
Like I'm excited to see who's dropping out first and who can keep those leads for the longest.
Fair enough, Zach. We appreciate it, brother, for coming on with us. Next week again?
All the time.
Who you on? You on with Iggy next week? Or you going to be on with yours truly next week?
I got double trouble, so I'll let you guys decide. I'm more free on Tuesday, though.
Yeah, I'll see you next Tuesday, brother. You know how we work, man.
All right, man.
We're the
Enjoy,
Sunday Night
boys.
Football, this crew here, you know? Thanks a lot, Zach. We appreciate it, man. Have a great week.
thanks a lot,
Adios.
Zach.
Take
Nice.
care.
Good night.
Bye.
Zachary Albert Gill here with us, and we roll along. Check out his article
roll along.
coming up this week. Almost done. Can't wait for the power rankings here. Iggs, we'll go forwards to go backwards. I know the script's all over the place now with what we're doing.
We're good.
But let's dive into women's and what we have going on so far in women's. I know we were
Don't
hoping to
forget
get
D3 after.
we were hoping to have on Victoria Di Loretto of the Bees, but unfortunately was not available. And if you see some of her work on social media, she is one funny cat out there. That's for sure.
Yeah, she'll join us next week.
You were on.
Either-
What show
I
she
think
coming on?
your show actually.
Oh, excellent.
She's more available on the Tuesdays. So Victoria Di Loretto of the Bees will be joining Mo Khan next week.
Next week. So look forward to having her on with us next week. But let's dive into it though, right? Brutes. Oof.
Yeah.
Their own 4. They only scored 38 points, which is now essentially about 9.2 points per game.
Oof.
And Laurence Pompignan not available. So there's a double strike on them right now. Could they suffer a third strike and recover from this and make a run for a playoff spot?
Well, not available, not because of injury, right? She's on sub-zero.
Yeah.
So obviously, she was a little injured at the end of the Fall Cup season.
That's right.
Was
Yeah.
able to play in the finals, limited reps on defense, but the Brutes offense is really missing Laurence Pompignan. She's, we've spoken about it numerous times. She's the Gronk of the women's division.
How about
When
Travis
you miss-
Kelsey?
Well, now it's more relevant, yes, to say Travis Kelsey. She's just a huge piece of that offense that they haven't recovered from, and it shows, right? With 38, Mo Lacasse is not used to 38 points in 4 games. That's shaking.
And
the
this
confidence.
frustration, I think, I see a little bit from afar when watching their games that it's not the same run and shoot type of offense that they had going on. And she's a competitor, Maud Lacasse. I love her to death. I think she's an awesome person and a great quarterback. But this is definitely a trying time for her to kind of right the ship. Right, it's directionless right now, but all they need to get 1, if not 2 more wins, then maybe they're back in the playoff race.
Well, that's exactly it. The next one is must win. It's and their next game's week 8. So they're going to stew on this all the way to February 25th. And that's must-win game already in the season.
But let's
It's
say Vortex has
must
one
win.
game. Vortex will have 2 games before Brutes play their next game.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's say, they win those 2 games. And then let's just say the teams above them theoretically win at least 1, if not 2 games before they get to their next game. Then they're in a deep hole. Because if Vortex win, they'll be 3-3 before Brutes play their next game. Albeit they have 2 games
or
in hand.
even 2-4, right?
Right, yeah.
They'll have
But
the same
let's just
number
say
of
the best case
losses.
scenario, Vortex is 3-3 with 2 games in hand for Brutes. They still want to catch them even with 2 games in hand. So they have to make up the 2
Exactly.
games plus another game to kind of reach Vortex at number 5 if they were to win the next 2 games.
Yeah, so it's exactly that. Their next game against Vortex is a must-win. It's
Yeah.
not an exaggeration. They must win that game.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's crazy to say because in week 8 of a week 14 or 15-week season, halfway through the season to say that you're a must win is crazy, but that's the level of competition in women's one. It's really high. And if you're 0-4 after 4 games, your 5th game's a must win.
As Deion Sanders once said when he was playing for the Atlanta Falcons, and I think the Dallas Cowboys as well, he said, if the U-Haul trucks are at this facility, that means your season's done by week 10. So the U-Haul trucks could be owing the Brutes if they don't get this organized by week 8, and it could be serious trouble for them. We got some sumptuous games coming up here, Riggs. Bees Les Bleus, Bleu Put against Sub-Zero. I think both are intriguing, but you asked that question, which one's more intriguing? I think in the context of what we have from a win-loss record here of this season, I want to see what the Bees and Les Bleus do this weekend. That's the game I'm watching out for because Les Bleus are starting to find their rhythm. They've only played 2 games so far, and the Bees have been very tough. Like they've been competitive. No one thought they'd be a top 3 team at this point. And this is a bigger game for them against Les Bleus because if they were to beat Les Bleus, that means they have the tiebreaker for the moment and a chance at the top 2 spots of the playoff race going towards the halfway point of the season.
I mean, they're both really interesting, right? Because Bleu Pou, Sub-Zero, is this the game to determine who's the number 1 seed? It might be their first matchup of 2.
I don't think so. I think Les Bleus going to have a say in this at some point.
Sure, yeah, but they got to beat the Bees, and the Bees' defense has been really strong. And I would have loved to have, gotten Victoria Di Loretto's take on their game plan and how they feel going in against Les Bleus. And it's going to be a huge challenge for them because Les Bleus, reigning champions, NFL flag champions a few weeks ago in
very decorated
Florida.
Team.
What's that?
Very decorated team.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see how the Bees stand up, but the other matchup could determine the number 1 seed. Sub-Zero's your early season favorite to be the number 1 seed at the end of the regular season, but Bleu Pou can fight back, and they can go potentially score for score with Sub-Zero. Could come down to a game of converts in that one. So both interesting, but I think you're right. I want to see how Bees handle Les Bleus.
Yeah,
especially
that's a very game for Bees because it will give us a better barometer if they are a team in play for top 2 or a team that's going to just chase and kind of hold off 5 and get number 4 going towards playoffs.
Yeah, for sure.
So women's 2. The favorite to win defensive player of the year is who?
There's a few names out there, especially just because a lot of defenders out there with multiple picks, a few sack leaders as well. And obviously Maryse Paquette at the top of the list there. But she's likely, or at least in the running for 2-way player of the year. She always is. She's a huge defender and receiver, putting up big numbers on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to look past her because she's right now leading the women's division with 4 interceptions. I look at someone like Amélie Durocher of Kiss My Boots, the safety for KMB. She's, getting a lot of bat downs on key downs, on 4th down, picking them off. No pick sixes just yet. Usually that can be a difference. So another name is Alexia Vitti of Carababes. 3 interceptions herself. One of them already taken back to the house. And look for anyone on the Carababes, right? It could be Caroline Larivière, Geneviève Saint-Jean. They all have 3 interceptions themselves. So maybe the defensive player of the year just comes straight out of Carababes.
Nope.
Did you have any
Nope.
names that stood out?
Nope. Laetitia Ngulu, le Patrice CSL.
Okay. Yeah.
11 PDs, 1 pick six, 3 INT, 6 tackles. So let's just
she's
take
a
away the
force to
tackles.
be reckoned with.
Yeah, let's take away the tackles. Let's look at the other numbers. 3 INTs, 11 PDs, 1 pick six, right?
11 PDs is wild.
So she has destroyed 14 plays.
Yep.
That is
put 6
massive.
points on the board. Yeah.
That is massive. Like she might break the PD record in a season.
I'll check that.
Yeah, Antonio DeVersa has that 27, I think it is.
Oh, you already know. Look at you.
I know.
It looks like you're the one in charge of our Instagram Thursday.
I've answered every
quiz.
question accurately, my friend. I'm almost like a perfect. I'm like Steph Curry out there answering those questions on Instagram. But Laetitia Ngulu could be the one that I'm going to circle and say she has a chance. Now, I know the rusher does not get the doula that it's supposed to get. Maybe it should be a separate award. I don't know. Because we have separate offensive awards like Receiver of the Year, etc. Geneviève Fortier, Wildcats, right? She's got 4 sacks so far through 2 games. Now, if you prorate that, Iggy, you would have 20 sacks. Am I correct?
Yes.
Correct. So that's 20 plays that she wrecked all by herself. But
That's
it'll never get props though, because we have to start looking at the value of a game record than stats. And 20 sacks, if she were to hit 20 sacks in a 10-game schedule, is 20 plays that she single-handedly destroyed that resulted in a net loss of yards and either a turnover or whatever it might have been at that moment. So she could be a player to watch out for going towards the final 7-8 games of the regular season.
I'll just add that sacks in the women's division are even greater than in the adult league and men's and co-ed, because especially in the women's, you can intentionally ground the ball. You can literally pitch it to your own feet, and it's not intentional grounding.
Right.
So for a rusher to have 4 sacks already in 2 games is massive.
Yeah. Yeah, and as I said before with Ngulu and her, those are my 2 favorites to win this award. Like you have to look at game records than anything else.
Yeah.
Like I know we don't track it. Unfortunately, we can't track it because we don't have the bandwidth in terms of like the ability to do so. Because PFF does quarterback pressures, all that stuff, right?
Right.
If we were tracking, and maybe down the road we could do for the iPad app, where we have targets for receivers that
Pressures.
we can also target DBs, right? Like what is the ratio that player X has when targeted, right? So Jane Smith has been targeted 10 times. There's been 2 completions for 10 yards. Like if we got to that point, then we can break it down even more, and we can go even more deeper in how this player is better than that player, whether it's male or female, in whatever division that we're covering and talking about certain awards in this league.
I would add quarterback pressures that lead to interceptions, right? Those are huge. That's a stat you don't see. Not only is she pressuring, quarterbacks 4 times, just losing yards. How many of those, rushing attempts or, attempting at sacking the quarterback have led to errant throws, right? That have led to turnovers. So
for sure. And that's why I mean, look, it's a step in the right direction of the targets for receivers, but maybe down the road we can target DBs. And that's when we get to know it. Maybe if we can figure out a formula how to really identify a quarterback pressure, that would help as well moving forward. So that's something to look out maybe down the road. All right, so Iggs, look at the last question for women's too. The 2-1 teams that we have right now. There's a boatload. There's Hibu, Hibu 2, Wildcats, Lynxnet.
Again,
let's chance to go deep.
Since last year, Lynxnet.
Oh.
It's Lynxet.
I know.
Lynxnet.
I call it Lynxnet. I like calling it Lynxnet. Lynxnet. All right, whatever.
What's the question again?
Who has a chance to go deeper amongst the 2-1 teams?
It's a good question because all 4 teams, I really like their offense. Their offense can lead the way, and they all have good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
which is why it's interesting. But I really like what I've seen out of the Ibu teams, both of them. Now, I saw the Ibu, just Ibu, against Kiss My Boots, got shut out, 19-0.
Yeah.
It was probably not their day because I've seen them and they've put up the points in their other two games, 61-2.
Right.
The Ibu 2, I also saw them wreck X and X at Brassard. I really like what they showed from their quarterback, their offense. Very dynamic, hitting the shorts, hitting the intermediates, hitting the long bombs. It's a bit of everything. It's really hard to get a take on their offense as a defensive team. So I really like what Ibu and Ibu number 2 in particular. I think that team can go on a deep playoff run.
All right, on to 35 plus, Sigs. We've got the KTFL draft and the legends. KTFL draft. So quarterback switch now for Flag Plus, going from Jason Rossi to Vince Nardone.
At least for one game.
Yeah, so is this short or long-term view for them?
Jason Rossi's throwing on a lot of teams. I don't know, maybe if his arm got tired because he was there. It wasn't a question of putting Vince Nardone in because Jason's not there. He was there. So I think it's a short-term solution. They didn't get the win against On Rock.
Yeah.
Although they may have gotten the win against On Rock. It may be a forfeit that's up for review. As they had Jeff Rosenblatt throwing, which busts the QB cap, and they busted the team cap as well.
Right.
So maybe Flag Plus got the win. I think it's a short-term solution, though. I think Jason Rossi's a better option at quarterback with Vince Nardone at receiver.
All right. JMJ, they're undefeated. Their first loss will come never?
We'd have to go through the roster or the schedule.
Which I am right now.
Yeah, so they play Flag Plus next week. I think that's a win.
Yeah.
They play On Rock. Now, if On Rock can modify their team roster so that it fits, that could be a challenge, but I still like J&J. I think either of the games against Brody Windsor, so on Monday, February 19th or March 18th, I think that's one of the ones where they might lose. They had a 46-40 battle against Brody Windsor this past week, or it was on Monday the 29th. I think their one loss is gonna come. I think the first of the two Brody Wizards on Monday the 19th.
Well, look, you got Lion Johnson, Tossie, John Moody, and Corey Sim Robertson, who've now combined for 18 touchdowns amongst 16 touchdowns amongst the four of them. Pick your poison.
Corey Sim Robertson with 4 interceptions. I believe that's leading the KTFL 35 plus.
Yeah. Pick your poisonous to try to stop, and you're not going to stop them. Not going to stop them at all. Legends division. We got Bearskins Team Ethnic Senior, and to add to it, defensive play of the year for Bearskins or the field. Like, what are we looking at right now for the game, and maybe the defensive play of the year coming from the Bearskins or someone else?
So I think the Bearskins are the favorite going into this game, but something wants me to pick Team Ethnic in this one. They came away in their week 1 matchup with a 25-32 loss.
Right.
And I think they're going to be hungry for that first win, whereas Bearskins are 3 games deep, but only putting up 57 points in 3 games, which worries me. Ben Lawler for Team Ethnic Senior, man, when this guy gets rolling, he can put up 40 points in a game with relative ease.
Yeah.
And just the familiarity he has with his guys, I like Team Ethnic Senior coming on top against Bearskins, although the Bearskins defense, very stingy, lots of speed. especially obviously Chris Meillard, right? That's a tough defense, but I just like Ben Lawler getting on a heater early and often in this one against the Bearskins.
Yeah, Chris Meillard's like a cheat code for them.
Yeah.
He's a cheat code for them. That's how I see it for them.
But
in
but
that
what do you
division.
think? What do you think when it comes to defensive player of the year? I mean, a lot of these Bearskins defenders are leading right now the interception battle. Is there anyone else that can creep up?
Well, I think they could cancel each other out for the vote. Not saying that there's like 2,000 voters and stuff, but there could be that idea that if you have so many guys from one team that you kind of take away the vote from player A, B, and C wins or whatever it might be from the trio. But you look at, again, you got 4, if not 5 of the top 7 spots, all Bearskins. But
Right.
then you look at a team such as Wade Williams. He's played only one game for Pacemakers, but he can get goal. He can get on a heater and maybe put up some big numbers. Anthony Steja, he's not the most athletically gifted player out there, but he can
But
put
he's
up
smart,
some
yeah.
stats, right? So,
Yeah.
but I think right now the horse that should win it will come from the Bearskins, but you have to wonder in the vote when it's broken down, will one get canceled out because this vote's split because hey, we got this guy going here, this guy going there, whatever it is, right? So, and we'll see what happens. I think it's still early, but it will kind of even itself out eventually when we get deeper into the season.
So Bearskins versus the field, you got
Bearskins.
okay.
Yeah, I got Bearskins. I got someone from the Bearskins,
Right.
But we'll talk about the voting off air. We'll talk about the voting off air and how this
Sure.
plays out, right? How we can maybe even it out a little bit, make it more intriguing for those out there, right? So
For sure. And Mo, as we wrap up here, 35 plus, just let's not forget about Division 3.
yeah, we're going to Division 3 right now.
Okay.
I had it teed up right now. Actually, I went backwards to go
gotcha.
forwards. Actually,
There you go.
yeah, we're going to Div 3 right now. Actually, Brotherhood. They're 3-1. They got unfortunate injury to Jamal Gittens, the kitten, who's out for the foreseeable future. Does the buy window come at the wrong time for them? Because it felt like, it feels like they're kind of finding their flow now compared to where they were a couple weeks ago when they lost badly in week 2.
I mean, they lost him for the season, right, Jamal?
Yeah.
So I mean, if we're talking about bye weeks for getting people injured back healthy, then no. But if you're saying it like I think you are, that they were, beating Mongoose 19-18, beating Air Force One 28-12, two I'd say rather impressive wins, ones that I would have predicted them to be the underdog in those games. Yeah, then yes, the bye week is coming, and not just one bye week, right? They're playing next in about a month, February
That's right.
24th.
I call it the buy window.
Right, exactly. So, and they're playing against Mel's Angels, and Mel's Angels now, after having seen them, kind of their complete roster now, that was a team that beat Beer Belly Brigade, right? Beer Belly was 3-0. Mel's Angels won it on the last play of the game, but that's a tenacious group with now AJ Gomes throwing the football. That would be an interesting quarterback battle, right? AJ against Theo quarterbacking. So yeah, bye week, bye window coming at a bad time for the Brotherhood.
Yeah, I think I think it's bad because you have to kind of not relearn your steps, but kind of create that muscle memory of how you were able to put together some wins in a row.
Yeah.
I still believe Brotherhood are the team to watch out for in their division, and they're 3-1, rightfully so. By the time they get back, they might be behind, and then maybe in the number 2 or 3 hole of their division, with ECW and A Team kind of lurking with intent.
Yeah.
And I just think that now it gives them a chance to kind of rest up, but also you want to continue to build up that rapport. So, yeah, it's good, but also bad because a month off, that buy window is massive. It's not like you're off for a week here. You're not playing until mid-February, if not end of February.
That's
It's a long time, man, and it's like it's sort of like you're kind of doing in between seasons from a fall cup to winter season. And so can Theo JF find that rhythm again and develop it again and build it back up? I think he can, but I just think it comes at an awful time for them moving forward. And the team that's chasing them right now is Green Deal Human Beings.
Mm-hmm.
And Eggs, let me tell you one thing, man. They got wrecked by Mongoose. It wasn't even close to. They
Saw
waved
that.
off the last 8 minutes of the game. That's how bad it was.
Oh, jeez.
Is Greendale human beings punching in the wrong weight class of where they are in this division as a whole?
I don't think so. I saw them play against Brotherhood. They ripped them to shreds. I mean, this is a team that went pretty far in the playoffs last season in Division 3. I don't think they're out of their element. I just think Mongoose is that good. And it's surprising to I'm looking and Mongoose is 1-3. Like how did that happen?
Yeah, Alex Godet was 18 of 19, only one incompletion and 6 touchdowns against them.
Oh, because that's another team that, like we were just talking about in 35 plus, that with Ben Lawler, he's a quarterback that once he catches fire, you're not stopping him. He's going 7 for 7 on his drive, scoring on every single drives, and that's pretty much what happened against Greendale. They figured out their offense because that Greendale offense is tricky.
Yeah.
And if you don't catch on early enough, you're going to get burnt. And then once you finally clue in, they're going to make those adjustments, and they're one step ahead of you. So Mongoose was quick to take away what Greendale likes to do. And it's just that one game in particular, it happens. And Greendale were out of their weight class for that one game, but they're not in the wrong division, that's for sure.
Well, they got Diamond Bougie coming up Feb 7th, Easy W as well.
Yeah. Tough schedule.
That is not going to be easy. And, and at the halfway point, like right now they're 1-2. If they're 1-4 in that division, and you've lost the tiebreaker to Mongoose, you have the tiebreaker over Brotherhood, but 4 losses may not be enough to get you into the top 3 of that division, and you're maybe looking at like a wild card spot at that point.
Yeah, that's fine. They're gonna beat. They're gonna win a couple rounds in the playoffs, and then see where that takes them.
Last team to win is who in this division?
In division meaning Group A or Division 3?
As a whole for Division 3. Who will be the last team to win a game?
So you're looking at Wide Open Bar to win a game. Yeah, so Wide Open Bar, Dirty Bird, Speed Academy, Blue Chips, and Une Phrase Bien Fournie. The last one to win a game?
Yeah.
So it's not Wide Open Bar. It's not Dirty Birds. It's between Speed Academy, Blue Chips, and Une Phrase Bien Fournie. And it just has to be Une Phrase Bien Fournie for me. It's a team that even last year they struggled as well. Not sure why they didn't drop down to Division 4. Division 4 is more their weight class, like you mentioned, for Greendale. I think Blue Chips will get a win or two. Maybe go 2-8 though. Speed Academy, I just can't see them not winning a game. I mean, 26 points after 3 games.
I think they're gonna. I think it's gonna take them a while to get going. They're not gonna be lightweight. Mel's Angels, I don't think they match up well with them. Air Force One, maybe, but Beer Belly Brigade, no. Sharks, no. Diamond Bougie, no. Brotherhood, no.
Well, that's a tough schedule.
Yeah,
so it might be.
I don't know where that one's coming from. Maybe Mel's Angels, but I don't think so. Speed Air Force One, maybe. I don't think so, man. I think they might have. I think they might be in serious contention to go 0-10.
Oh wow, that's a big fall from grace. That was a team that always was competitive in Division 3.
Yeah.
Wow, I never would have thought Speed Academy as a Division 4 team. Maybe we have to reclassify that. Wow.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be tough for them. So I'm gonna do a 2-for-1 question here, Iggs, with Arush, because it's an Arush question with Sharks involved. So,
okay,
are you worried about Sharks because they looked pedestrian against Arush? And the follow-up to Arush, are they more balanced now with their offense without Simon Loisier, who's not playing, I don't think, this year for this season?
I'm going to start there because that's so interesting. Because Simon Loisier is clearly their best player.
100%.
And, my phone's going to die. You might have to go solo for a bit, and then I would join on my computer. Hold on, let me do one thing.
You can't put a charger on?
No, it doesn't fit. Yeah, let me finish my thought on Arush. Interesting thought, because Simon Lozier taking away their best player, you'd think obviously they're a worse team. But maybe that's forcing Arouche to spread the ball. And that's always the hardest thing as a defense, is that if you never know where the ball's going and you have to run 5 defenders deep to cover all 5 receivers, that's a tough task. Not every team can go 5 DBs deep. So does that actually make Arouche better? They're 3-1, 105 points after 4 games. Not amazing, but not bad. The defense has always been good. Not amazing, but 69 points after 4 games in Division 3s, that is really good. So I think there's an argument to be made that Arouche is better without Simon Lozier. Crazy to think.
Yeah, I score kept.
Yeah, go.
So I score kept 2 if not 3 of the games so far, and they look more balanced than before. They're not trying to force feed one guy. They've gone to like a plethora of receivers, whether it's Antoine Préfontaine, Philippe Nicard, Thomas Legault, Felix Menard, right? Everyone's played well, but it's their defense. You're right. Their defense has been excellent. Like they're making plays, man. Like already through I think 3 if not 4 games now. I believe they're at 14 PDs. Not many missed tackles. There's not many yards out to catch for opponents. And you look at the defense so far this season, they have not given up more than 22 points in a game. 26 points in a game, I beg your pardon. So, and that was the week 1 loss to Air Force One, in which they lost in the last play on offense. So they could easily be 4-0 and controlling their fate. But you know what? They'll get a real test against the Gros Coq coming up on Feb 4th on Sunday, and we'll see how they do against that type of quarterback play that they'll go up against and how patient they have to be. But they've really impressed me. And when they play the Sharks, which goes back to my initial question about the Sharks, Sharks have a lot of weapons to work with, but they just had no rhythm. They had no cutting edge from their offense against a good Arouche defense.
Is that a game you score kept?
Yeah, I did.
You got to tell me more about that, because how did the Sharks lose? And not just lose, fine, you can lose 27-26, or I would have expected the scoreline to be something more like 35-34. But how did they lose 27-19? How did Corey Wolowski only put up 3 touchdowns?
Oh, well, Corey only put up 2 touchdowns because they had a pick, a rush by Jalen Greaves, rushing the quarterback. He batted the ball up in the air and returned it back for a touchdown.
2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns.
3 interceptions from Corey Wolowski.
It was a very frustrating day for him at the office.
Yeah.
And like Ariel Larati dropped balls. Groper dropped a ball. Like, it was bad. Like, it wasn't good. I mean, it was the second game for them, whatever. But like, they just match up well. Like, Bastien Thibault is a really good pass rusher. His length is like, he's got length upon length, and it makes it tough on quarterbacks. And I just think that Sharks will rebound, but they have to be better. Better than what they were last week, because they did not look anywhere near being the anointed contender to win Division 3.
Right, because they are, right?
Yeah, 100% they are favorites to win
Division C champs.
Yeah,
it was a very tough division in the spring. I definitely had Sharks as a contender in Division 3, but is it a blip in the schedule, or is this more to come for Sharks?
Well, we'll have a better sample size for in the coming weeks.
Yeah,
we definitely will. But there's one thing though, Iggy. Noah Groper, best hair flow in that division.
In the entire division.
Yeah,
could be
best hair flow,
possibly,
no question. Division 2, Mongoose. They're 2-0. They're flying high. But would you take Renner Once as the better team between them?
It's an interesting matchup. You want to say Run It Once, and you're like egging me on to say Run It Once, but man, every time I pick against Mongoose, they just come out so strong. And the pieces they added, the Mongoose offense was never the problem. Their defense wasn't always great, and now with the additions of Olivier Sudi in past seasons, and now Tristan Fisk-Casso, and there are a few other of the what was that purple team's name? Yeah, escaping me. But anyways, they added a lot of bulk to their defense, and it's complementing their offensive game so well right now that, man, I might pick Mangoose over Run It Once.
You know, it's funny. Oliver Sari, right, was the guy that Jeff Rosenblatt wanted to get on his team, right? He had him come try out for the team. Now he has to go up against him at some point, whether it's now in the playoffs. Yeah. But I'm going to take Run It Once for now because Mangoose is a team that, you know, they're sort of streaky, that they put it together. They're good, but then they always had like that weird loss, and you're like, how the hell did they lose this team when they're supposed to win by like four touchdowns, right? No 5 plays left. So I think Run It Once with Jeff as quarterback is good, but then you look at the team right now that you have on Jeff's team: Besser, Noah Groper, Sanders Armand, Matt Bond, Skylar Bailiff, Manu Adarrois, John Laristis, Stephen Osmond. Osmond will eliminate because he's not really an offensive guy. He's more defense. But they got some really good pass catchers and guys who know how to get open. It's almost similar parallels in terms of the style of personnel that they have. So I think Jeff is the difference in this thing, and I think Jeff can get them to being the best team in this division.
It's just the sour taste they left in my mouth with their game against Terror Squad, where they were up. I think I talked about this last week on my show. They were up 20-6, and maybe even 20-0, and they lost that game to Terror Squad. Right. They were in complete control. They had the chokehold of the game, and they couldn't put that 4th and 5th and 6th score to put the team away, and it made me nervous. Like, thinking about this team, it makes me hesitate. And they didn't have a good fall season, Run It Once, and they had Anthony Brisebois on that team, and they wasn't happy with the losses piling up. And I'm not saying that that's the type of season they're going to have now, but I didn't like that crept up in their game against Terror Squad. That's all I'll say.
So the cluster of 1-1 teams that we have right now, that is 2HD, Bless Up, Stoics, Terror Squad, #NR. Who's the most vulnerable right now in terms of them falling off the wayside?
Wait, the 1-1 teams?
Yeah, there's a cluster of 1-1
NR
teams.
is there, yeah. Something's making me say NR. And I'm not sure what it is. Is it the stat line of Adam Sinagra in his first game back? 4 touchdowns, yes, but 4 interceptions. Getting used to the game after, you know, he was getting used to the game in Division 1, Division 2, even Division 3, I believe, with blackouts, I want to say. Was getting used to the game, used to the play calling, and now hasn't played in, I want to say, the full calendar year, right? Last played in the winter.
Yeah.
So he's kind of regaining his steps. So, and Bless Up, I'm fine. 2HD, I'm fine. Stoics, I'm fine as well. Terror Squad, yes, they got that big comeback win against Run It Once.
Right.
But time's been slow out of the gate. And
they haven't played well the last couple of seasons, Terror Squad.
Yeah. So it's between Terror Squad and #NR for me.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about #NR now because Travis Moses is out for the year. Don't know if
my
you
dog
heard
wants to get involved.
Yeah, I'm sure your dog wants to be a part of that cluster of 1-1 teams. But
Leo.
But yeah, Travis is out for the year, unfortunately, and it's too bad because he played really well for them and stuff. And actually, I got to move my laptop because my laptop's about to die on me right now. So if you excuse me as I carry my, I gotta go. I gotta go on the ground over here. You know. So
you know, we haven't anticipated the longer show using more battery on our devices. Luckily, I was able to charge my phone. Your you know, the 3-hour show is back, Mo. 3-hour show is back.
There we go. Look here. There we
1
go.
hour 47 now, corrected by the Nightingale here. Look, yeah, we'll move along topics here. If you're asking this question, kind of a strange question, that just based off of stats, which team has the most dynamic offense? Kind of a weird question, because just based off the stats, I would say, you know, Silent Ticklers, Run It Once. even Dirty Birds plus, they put up 139 points. Man, maybe that's where your angle's coming from. Is that Dirty Birds are scoring at a really high clip?
Well,
but
no, if you
losing
look at
games.
sorry, as I get comfortable now on the carpet over here at the Con residence. 3 hour
Down on
show,
the
what,
carpet,
huh?
baby.
Yeah. No, if you look at the stats, right, on the webpage.
Standings or player stats?
No, team stats.
Okay.
Where you get a breakdown of first down, all that stuff here.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, I mean, there's some fascinating numbers to look at. And I was looking at it earlier this morning. And obviously, I know they may be a little bit off in terms of the accuracy of team stats.
Right.
But,
they're close enough.
They're close enough, yes. But I know initially we had a bit of a glitch when we brought this in here. But think about the first down conversions, right? You think about the rush yards, the pass yards, the touchdowns, that type of stuff here, right? The offensive per game averages as well that you have, right? And so that really caught my attention. So the point that I'm bringing up here is that, which offense is the most dynamic at this point of the season that has caught your attention?
Yeah, my dog really wants to chime in.
Yeah.
I like I was saying, I mean, I'm even with the team stats up, I'm not far off. Dirty Birds Plus has been really impressive with their offense, not only stats wise, but with the eye test. They had a back and forth shootout against Skills Bees, and every time I looked over, they were scoring, and then I look at the scoreboard, and I'm like, well, before looking at the scoreboard, I'm like, okay, they're up like 46 to like 30.
Right.
And then I look at the scoreboard and they're losing. So definitely the prolific offense. I really like what Dirty Birds Plus are doing, but they're just not converting that into wins. Their defense isn't doing, just that little bit more to give their offense, which is scoring and rolling on all cylinders, enough to get the wins. So they're not seeing, the offensive output turn into wins, but
Right.
I really like what they're doing on offense.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Dirty Birds. It's funny they never recovered from that interception that Quay Johnson threw in the first play of the second half of the Fall Cup final, and it's kind of got them in a rut a little bit here. But I look at the dynamism some of these teams have brought in Division 2, and as this page takes forever to load up, classic FPF webpage, as you know very well, Iggy. As I try to open it up with great power speed I have on my internet. Still taking forever here.
I don't
Here we
want
go.
to slow the page down anymore by clicking myself.
But, Silent Ticklers, right? They're powerful as an offense. They'll figure it out. Stokes can put up numbers. Bless Up will put up numbers. A Mangoose, again, we talked about them before, but Running Once will put up numbers. So there are teams that can put up good numbers. Skill Bees with oh my God, what's his face there? The quarterback.
Santomo,
yeah. I was thinking Nick Couture meant Nick Santomo, right? He'll put up numbers for
the
sure, right?
Mokan of quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly. He'll put up numbers for sure. So I think there's some really unique, and that's why I'm going to track that, see how those numbers kind of fluctuate, right? Going here until the end of the season with the certain categories that we have for FPF as well. All right, Eggs, on to Div 1, because I know we're being the Night Eagles asking us the countdown. We have very minimal time left here on the show, but let's dive into it now for Div 1. Is there a clear picture on who is the best team in this division?
I've talked about this with Dan Lazara. I think this is the year where All-Stars and Braves, at least for the regular season, are not your clear-cut favorites. I think Flagmo-Alsac, even Jameson's, not so much Party Crashers after seeing them play this past weekend, but Flagmo-Alsac and Jameson's, they're looking very, very strong early out here in the first month of FPF. And I don't know what it is, but I feel like there's a chink in the armor of All-Stars and Braves, again, for the regular season.
Yeah, I think the Braves are sort of like, get us to the playoffs. We'll get to May 5th and be in the finals. Okay, we don't care who we have to go up against. because they play so many tournaments now, right? They're going to Florida and stuff, and it's tough, right? Like they can't get up for every game. And I told you, I know you spoke about it last week, but like, you're playing Flag Sac, you're up by 2 scores. Flag Sac already used their onside kick, but yet they end up winning by 1 at the end, right? Like,
You can't lose that game.
no, but I don't think they care, like, honestly, about where they want to.
Yes.
They don't. They could be the 10th seed, and they'll be, all right, cool. We'll see in a road show, right? But I think Flag Sac has shown a lot, but I worry about their defense because they've given up a lot of points. I know they played more games than others. I think you're right about All Stars. I think but All Stars kind of remind me of the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Where it was like, oh, the Chiefs, they're falling apart. They're not going to make a big run of it, and then where they are now, they're playing for this Lombardi. I think they'll figure it out. It may not be the most dynamic, cutting edge offense that they once had, but Kevin Wyeth and these guys will figure it out, and they'll be in that conversation. Jameson's is the wild card in my books. I think, for Jeff Rosenblatt, from where he was back in the spring season, where he got to the finals for the first time in ever, could he take the next step in his ascension as he puts in his salt towards the record books? So I think that's the team I'm looking out for. That at 2-0, they played the least amount of games amongst the top 3 teams in the division right now. But look, you got Braves coming up, which will be on Feb 7th next week.
Yep.
You got Bless the following week, and Royaume Luminaire on the 17th. So that 3-game stretch will give us a much clearer idea if they are going to be the number 1 or 2 seed in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. The Braves one's an interesting one.
Yeah, they're like the Spurs, man. They don't care. They're like, whatever. Yeah. Get us in the playoffs. We'll take care of the rest. Don't worry about that. That's what they are. 0-2 right now. Athletic Squad and FFN. So I've seen AS play a bit disorganized. FFN, I'm not too sure about these guys. I think they would be a better Div 2 team than they are Div 1.
Yeah. So who's going to get the first win?
First win.
I mean, I know the ATH squad was down pretty big at the half against Flag Sac, but they made it a game. I think it was like a 1-possession game at the end of it.
Yeah.
So, and I know, you it's not well documented, but you hinted at Flag Sac's defense letting up a lot of points. One of those teams was ATH squad.
Right.
With Jeans Lee at quarterback, man, he's good. So I can see them squeaking out a win, 1 or 2 here, versus FFN. You talk about disorganized for ATH. I see that disorganization more on FFN.
Yeah, I think ATH squad has a better chance to get their first win over than FFN does.
I wonder if they play each other.
Yeah, they will play each other for sure. But I just think FFN, it's a team that's your classic. We have athletes but no quarterback, and we're going to play street ball, which means they're going to play backyard football, run around, get open. That's what it is.
Yep.
And they're going to rely on their instincts to make plays on defense.
Yep.
So the high risk, high reward with them. So
yes,
I think ATH squad will get their first win for sure. Party Crashers are in the top 4, but by this weekend they will have played the most games, which will be 5. So if they were to lose this weekend, Iggy, that would put them at 1-3-1. Mm-hmm. Would you kiss goodbye the idea of them being a top 4 team in the playoffs?
If they lose to KGP?
Yes.
I mean, there's 2 ways to look at this. One is look at the rest of their schedule. Blessed, 50-50. Flag Sac, probably a loss. ATH squad, they're the favorite, so let's say a win. Jameson's the underdog, let's say loss. Braves, underdog, loss.
Right.
So you're looking at 3 losses, a maybe, give them the win, and then another win. So 2 and 3 with a KGP loss that you're assuming. So 4 losses puts them at 3, 6 and 1. Yeah, that's not good enough for top 4, top 5 seed.
Yeah, I think if they lose this week to KGP, they're done for top 3.
Really?
Yeah, because 3 losses, Iggy, 3 losses, and you expect to be top 3 team. That's not going to happen.
No. I'm saying more about really. You think they'll lose to KGP?
Yeah, I think so. I think they
It's
can.
possible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think they're the favorite in that game.
If it is, it's very slim margins. Very
I
slim
just
margins.
think they have more defensive playmakers now than in their past seasons, and then KGP.
Slim margins. I find with them right now. So anyway,
Okay.
I think if they do lose, the top 3's out. If they win,
Yes.
they'll
Yeah.
keep their hopes alive. But if they have 3 losses, no, top 3's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So 2-for-1 question to wrap it up. Div 1. Alex Nadeau-Pius could hit 60 touchdowns this season, and then his cohorts, Sam Nadeau-Pius and Guillaume Paquette, both have 10 touchdowns each. Okay, so we'll go with the first question. Alex Nadeau-Pius, does he hit 60 tutties this year?
Yes. I love their run and gun style. So does Pease. I remember yes. He's hitting 60. Yes.
Over or at 60?
What's he prorated at right now? Let's
He's at
see.
60. The pro if you prorate it, he'd be at 60.
Divided by 4. Yeah, 60.
60.
And what's the clip? It's 6.
6 per game.
6 touchdowns per game. No, he's gonna be right. I'm gonna push 60. It's on the dot. Not more, not less.
Okay. I think he hits 55.
You think there's gonna be one off game?
I think he will win the touchdown number this year.
Yeah,
But it won't
yeah.
be 60. I think it'll be 55.
So there's what? Is it one game where? Oh well.
Yeah, it just takes one game to offset the course, right? So I think he'll have a game of 5 touchdowns.
I mean, he had one. He had one an off game against the Jamesons that we talked about, where he had only 2 or 3 touchdowns. But that means he's been putting up 7 touchdowns in his other games.
Right.
I think he continues that streak and he hits 60.
I think 55 is what he's going to hit. I think it's going to kind of calm down a little bit here in the cold winter month of February coming up.
And then what are we looking at receiver wise?
So Sam Nadeau-Pius, Guillaume Paquette both have 10 touchdowns each. Okay.
Yeah.
So will one, both, or none hit 20 receiving touchdowns?
Sam Nadeau-Pius is going to hit 20. So is Guillaume Paquette. They're both going to hit 20 touchdowns. They're both going to have 500 yards or more. And they're both going to have 45 receptions.
Who wins receiver of the year then?
I think that would have to you'd have to look at the converts to break that deadlock. And I think Guillaume Paquette will take it because he has 4 2-point converts and an extra point for 1. So he's put up 9 points, whereas Sam has only put up 3 extra point 1 converts, so 3 points on the board.
Okay, so I'll break it down to you right now. I think Sam Nadeau-Pius hits 20 and Guillaume Paquette finishes with 15. There's no way they can keep up with this clip, Iggy.
I think so.
I like it would be amazing if 2 from the same team get 20 touchdowns each. But
That'd be crazy.
It'd be wild, but I don't think they will do it. I think one will get it, but not both.
KGP, Party Crashers, Maroons, Royaume, Blessed, and All Stars. I think they do it.
I don't think
220 touchdown makers.
No. Once you ask that question, Lazare, when you have him next week.
Yeah, I will.
If they both have numbers, if they play next week, I'm not sure if they do or not, but if they do play and they put up some more touchdowns, ask Lazare that question.
What's the ground you're on? Hardwood floor,
carpet.
Carpet.
Yeah. Carpet.
I think you said it. Maybe that's
Thursday morning I vacuum the house.
Thursday morning vacuum.
Yeah, with the Dyson. Dyson's the best vacuum right now in the market.
It is. Yep.
It is the best vacuum.
Wholeheartedly.
Great vacuum cleaner. And you got to change the filter every month. Wash it every month.
Yep.
This thing, Okay, that's it for us. So we plan on doing like a mega show with much more battery power. You know, happens. You know, I didn't realize we were at the past expiration of the battery here, but we'll do a mega show. We'll aim to do it at the end of each month, kind of do like a recap and have Iggy and I together as one show. But we're going to continue with the Tuesday, Thursday format. Iggy will be in Florida this week. He'll be back next week for the Thursday show. I'll be back with the Tuesday show. And that's it. We'll do that. And yeah, that's pretty much what I hear from Calling the Audible.
Yes, Florida, sun.
Magic words, please.
Shall I say beach? Beach?
There's no beaches in Orlando. Magic words, please. There's swampland, though.
I don't do that, Mo.
Good night, Orlando Magic. And ask about crocodiles and alligators. Do they beef like Bloods and Crips in the swamplands of Orlando?
I'll ask just for you, Mo.